All right, guys. I guess I'll give it a minute, so hopefully you guys can move over to this stream. I'm hoping no technical difficulties on this run. How's my audio? Okay, cool deal. So, again, poor lighting. I'm in this apartment in Istanbul. Um, I don't know if you guys know this, but apparently on Windows 10, there's I think I would expect multiple ways to enable and disable things, right? You may have a keyboard button. You may, and this is a nerd moment, right? You may have a setting in sound settings or something like camera settings, and then maybe in device manager you can really enable and disable things. Um, but apparently you can go to one of those areas and click enable, and it'd be listed as disabled in another place. So that was the camera stuff. I still haven't figured out the microphone thing. Maybe it really doesn't matter at this point, but it's kind of aggravating. Um, so I guess this is just a general update. I think you guys like this stuff, and um, I'm usually too lazy to do it, except maybe I got a few funny things that occurred um, since I've been here. So I don't know if you guys know this, or if you've been traveling during this COVID thing, but man, flying is terrible. Um, I think I had to have, so one, you have to have a passport, and you got to make sure your flights are booked, accordingly, and you have enough time for uh, um, transfers and that sort of thing. Just normal, baseline airline stress. You had to have a COVID test, PCR test, and you have to get it within 72 hours of departure, but you need like 24 to 48 hours to even get the results, if you have like a really good lab. So there's like a hypothetical scenario where, um, and some labs I think are 5 to 7 days. So there's a potential situation where you get your test done, you don't get it in time for the airline, for your flight, for your departure. There's another scenario where you get your test done, um, maybe too early, you get your results back, and then maybe it doesn't apply, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah, just a lot of hassle. When I left Lake Charles, they're checking all these documents. You have to, again, passport, driver's license, COVID PCR test, Turkish e-visa, like this other form, like some sort of health certification to get into Turkey. And I'm sure other countries, I'm not picking on Turkey. Other countries have similar things, saying here's where you're going. And I think this is to maybe track you or something in case you get sick or whatever. But, it's just like 5 layers of documentation. And one of them I had to do at the counter because I don't think it was very clear that that was necessary before doing this. But so I did that in Lake Charles, went to Houston. Oh, my Lake Charles flight was delayed hours. I get to Houston. They check all that documentation again, and I'm sure there's a reason. So you have to go, everyone has to line up, check all the documents again, and then you have to get in the line again to board the plane. Um, and I don't know about you guys, but I'm kind of paranoid about that. I'm paranoid about like losing things like keys and wallets and that sort of stuff. And I'm also paranoid about not having documentation and then ruining my trip or my flight or missing the competition. Um, so every time they ask for documentation, I'm like, oh crap, did I drop, the PCR test? Did I misplace this? Or is this person going to see something the last person didn't see and take issue with it? So yeah, major hassle. The flight out of Houston gets delayed. I get to Germany um, with not enough time to get on my flight to Turkey. You talk to the people, they say, hey, you need to go to Z23 for booking. You go to Z23 and they say, oh no, you need to go to Z14. You go to people at Z14 and they say, actually, no, you need to go to Z17, and you go to Z17, and they say, nope, it's actually Z24. So I did all that back and forth. I actually was able to get a decent flight, and my documents had to get checked again. And it was kind of funny. There was this lady in front of me talking to, I guess, one of the, I don't know what you call him, but this guy behind a desk, and he's checking this documentation, and she has like the paperwork for that like health certificate thing to get into Turkey, and like it's clear, it's the same thing I filled out. It has a QR code and stuff saying she's healthy, and he's asking her if she paid for it, right? She has the paper, right? So I don't understand, what does it matter if she paid for it? Um, you know, and I think she was an American. I don't see too many people forging these documents. I don't know. Maybe some people would forge these documents, but you can clearly see it was printed off the internet and blah blah blah. And I was like, man, it kind of sucks. Sure enough, she figures her situation out. I get there. He has a problem with my COVID PCR test. He said I'm past the 72 hours, and I'm sitting there thinking, I'm like, man, uh, I just like 10 hours were like added, to this due to travel. So even if I was borderline, 72 hours had not gone by. I did not take, one day for a test and 2 days to travel just to Germany. And so I'm just explaining this to the guy. He talks to his coworker. That guy doesn't have a solution. He gets his supervisor, and I don't speak German, but you could tell the supervisor was like, "Look, you jackass, he he has plenty of time left." And I don't know if it was because of the time change or the time zones that the supervisor cleared it up, or if it was simply because I did it 72 hours before departure. I don't know. It probably has to be 72 hours before departure, because you can't have people, traveling across the world. Sometimes that takes, you know, 24 to 48 hours anyway. There's no way you can do a 48-hour trip and get your test results back and have your COVID test within the 3 days they want you before departure. So, um, yeah, I think he just kind of gave me a hard 10 minutes over some bullshit, but luckily it got straightened out and I landed, um, pretty good. Um, yeah, so Turkey's cool. Been doing a lot of walking. I don't typically rent cars when I travel like this, and I got a kind of funny thing that happened. So these two guys approached me, and they wanted to sell me some perfume, cologne, and stuff. And I was sitting there. I'm trying to explain to these guys that like I don't care. Like I do not need cologne. I don't need perfume. Um, I don't use any of these things. And I keep looking to the right to look at the comments. There aren't many, but I don't use cologne. I don't even know if my wife uses perfume. I don't really pay attention that much. Um, and I travel with a single bag, right? I don't have any extra luggage. I don't check any bags because they always lose my stuff. So I literally have no room to carry any of this stuff. Um, and I mean, like just nagging and nagging and nagging. I just offered them money. I was like, look, man, I don't want the cologne. Take some money, you know. But they're not beggars, they're salesmen, right? And so somehow I bought all this cologne and perfume. If this stuff's legit, like I mean, if these boxes aren't empty, or if it's not full of rat piss or something, I think I got a deal. I don't think I spent more than $30. And sure enough, as I buy this stuff, the cops pull up and these guys take off running. So this might be hot merchandise. Again, I don't have any room to bring this back, but I hope maybe Ingen likes some of this stuff. So maybe we got some, I don't know if you guys can read this with the poor camera quality, but that's some Versace, maybe for Ingen. We've got some Lacoste. I don't know. Maybe I raffle these off. Maybe these can be fan prizes or something. We can raise money for somebody. This stuff. I don't even know if this is for men. I mean, I don't wear this stuff. Does Rob Rob, do you wear this? Do you wear this stuff? I've got another one of those. Is this good? So yeah, these guys kind of got me to buy all this crap. I'm sure I'm not supposed to have it. And then sure enough, later on in the day, another man approaches me, and sure enough, he pulls out the same shit. And I was like, look, man, I don't want this. I have a backpack full of the shit that was forced on me. So I don't know. Let's see. Comments, comments, comments. Not my monkeys, not my circus. Does that say my stash is Windows 12? Yep, probably ahead of the curve. Sap the Bee, how are you feeling? I feel okay. I think I feel okay. Maybe I feel good. The way the flights were arranged and stuff, I didn't really eat well in between flights, or nor did I drink enough water between flights. So I had a very empty stomach, and I don't like to have an empty stomach when flying. So when I landed in, when I landed here in Turkey, maybe I threw up, like on the plane. So and I know, you get the salt in your mouth and in your mouth water, so you grab the bag. So I threw up basically a bunch of stomach acid landing into Turkey, and then I get a taxi, and it was like a 50-minute taxi ride to the apartment. And this guy's just, I mean, I'm glad he's going fast because I'm tired. It's late. I'm trying to get to the apartment. But you've got hills and turns and stuff like that. So I threw up again in the taxi. And of course, at this point, it's just nothing. It's just stomach acids. There's no trace of any food in that whatsoever. Outside of that, my appetite's been a little weird. Still haven't eaten much. Still haven't had much of an appetite. Still haven't had much of a thirst. But I ate pretty good this evening, so. But that's good stuff. I like to undereat a little bit going into a competition. I'm not really someone that likes to overeat. I haven't. I've met Ingen before in the past, but I haven't met Ingen here in Istanbul. I don't think Ingen lives in the city. I think he lives somewhere else, and I think he was busy with something. So. Okay, let me move this here. So Big Tom Craft. Big Tom Craft. How long should a noob arm wrestler train before they employ side pressure? I'm short, 5'9", thickly built, don't top roll well. I don't know. I don't know if I think it's that big a deal. I mean, you can't be a jackass about it. I think the problem new people get into is they use only side pressure. And when you use, let's say if you're just going straight sideways and you don't have any like stabilization here or here, if you go straight sideways and someone pulls you out, you increase the leverage on your elbow and your muscles and everything, and then you get snap city, right? So I don't really think there's a timeline. I don't think you can say new versus experienced guy. I think it's really how you pull. You probably should pull more back than anything early on, but I wouldn't say don't use side pressure. There are plenty of guys that start off with a ton of side pressure to begin with. At the same time, we talk arm wrestling. I think I know arm wrestling, but I don't know. What does Krasimir say? That's what I would want to know. What does he do with his new guys? At the same time, it seems like all his new guys are like legends, right? Like Sasho, he found Sasho when he was a boy, and then Sasho wins WAF at 16. He's got Bojidar now. This is a young guy. He's probably the best 175 guy in the world already. And Jordan Konev or Sonev and all these people. So maybe he doesn't have regular people. Dimkey, don't try this. You must stay natty. Was that about the cologne? Don't use the cologne. Yeah. What are my predictions for the whole card? I don't know. It's tough. Honest, like trying to be honest and rational. I think Hermes beats Matt Mask, and I say that just I'm a strength guy, right? So when you see Hermes putting up these numbers, When you see Hermes, regardless of if it's practice or not, you see Hermes pulling Vitaly Laletin and doing very well with him, especially when Laletin has a low hand type of scenario, type of move, which is what Matt's going to do. Um, and the fact that Hermes is, I don't know, 30 pounds heavier than when he pulled Matt the first time. Um, yeah, I don't think it looks too good. Um, what else? Todd and Zolowev. Uh, I don't know. I think my default is like Todd. Todd wins. Um, but I mean, Zolowev's apparently 210 plus pounds, which just is stupid. At the same time, Zoloev isn't going to be as fast as Rustem, and Todd wasn't ready for Rustem anyway. So I don't know if that's a good indicator, and I think that's what a lot of people are falling back on is that hey, Rustem roasted Todd. I think you just kind of have to throw that out the window. I think the biggest impact is that Zolo is going to be that heavy. I'm going with Todd. Um, Tony Katowski versus Bojidar. I think Bojidar wins. That's not a knock on Tony. That's just watching Bojidar pull all the other elite guys in the world. People like Talgat, the Turkish guys, winning that event that Ingen hosted with everyone in it. So I think Bojidar wins. Um, I think Sarah wins her match. Ezra more than likely wins her match. I don't know her opponent, but Ezra's a beast. I think she curls more than I do. Um, I picked Josh over his opponent, Turkish guy, Masters category. And is that everybody? Me and FA, I don't know. That guy's really big. He's really strong. I think he's more experienced than Ingen led on. But I think I'm feeling pretty good. I'm way more versatile than he is, so I'll have options maybe. But at the same time, if he's just too strong, like it doesn't matter what I try. But I think I'm going to win. Um, Herman, you need to get on steroids if you want to compete in the elite level like Todd Zilla. Well, maybe, but I don't know if we know that yet. There's a lot of stuff that I need to do to confirm that I need steroids to compete at the elite level. And maybe that day comes. I don't know. I don't know how to pronounce this name. Vjesnik. Jesnik. Jesnik. I don't know. But you got a really good deal with perfumes. Yeah, I think so. I think so. Um, Sap the Bee, Herman, what sort of programming works best for arm wrestling exercises in terms of sets, reps, etc.? I don't, I highly doubt there's any sort of best, right? Toddzilla likes 5-3-1. I'm pretty sure that's, if I remember correctly, that's what he bases most of his training on. Um, I like stuff that's kind of based on the Bulgarian Olympic weightlifting system, indirectly. And you have people like Krasimir that probably thinks you should only arm wrestle, right? Or that should be the primary. And those guys arm wrestle multiple times per day, every day. I think you should probably follow the winners, right? And I've won some, but I'm not Krasimir. I'm not Todd Hutchings. So the cool thing about Todd's program is that it's not based on a whole lot of arm wrestling, meaning that, and not that Todd doesn't pull on the table, but Todd definitely has a heavy weightlifting split. It means that you're not going to be as reliant on a team. You do need a team. You probably do need some elite level arm wrestler to coach you. Todd always had good coaching. Chad Silvers and other people on his team, Bob Brown, John Brzezinski, etc. So you still need that kind of stuff around you, but you don't necessarily need it, or at least his path didn't involve, I don't think, pulling 3 times a day. It didn't involve being a full-time arm wrestler, being in a gym 8 hours a day, which is what some of the Bulgarians and other people are doing. But that's a whole different world. I don't think many Americans can't do that, and they definitely can't start out that route. So I would look at what the greats are doing, and then I'd probably pick one, what fits like your schedule, what's doable, what's interesting, and then go for that. Hey, what's going on, Tommy? Oh, so apparently Zola just had a live stream on Instagram. He doesn't seem so confident. Yeah, well, someone put that post, I think, in the arm wrestling discussion group that he had already started discussing how sick he was, which could be excuses. It could just be facts. I mean, he probably doesn't feel good because he gained 30 pounds or 20 pounds, maybe more than what he normally walks around at. James Cochran, when is my next match? Saturday. What school does Devin subscribe to? Bulgarian Olympic Training 2? Historically, I think Devin's been mostly an arm wrestle guy. Arm wrestle as much as possible. If you look at some of his old videos, he did do some heavy weightlifting, like the big hook curl video. I don't know what his programming was like leading up to that. Right? Did he do heavy singles? Did he do heavy triples? Did he do 5-3-1? Did he do a higher volume approach? I don't know how Devin got up to the heavy hook curl videos that you guys see on YouTube. I don't know if he's ever even talked about his weightlifting philosophies back then. I know he did train side pressure using pulleys at some point, and he said that he didn't like it because he got hurt. I have a feeling it's not based on Bulgarian Olympic training because I just think he arm wrestled at such a high frequency that I don't know if he was lifting at the same frequency at the same time. Now, Devin's been lifting lately, and I think he got that sort of programming from some Russians, which is probably still rooted, in their science developed via the Olympic lifting fields. So these things share some similarities. I remember the first video Devin, or one of the early videos Devin put out about the weightlifting stuff after losing to Dennis and how he said things are going to be different. I haven't kept up with his videos to know if that's what he's still doing. But I remember when he made those first videos after losing to Dennis, people came to me and said, wow, what do you think of Devin's programming? This is awesome. Devin has this new workout plan. And I said, I've been doing this for 10 years. So it's not, whatever he's doing is nothing new. And you might know this, but I think some people believe Devin invented this stuff, which is just kind of one of the interesting things with social media and kind of one of the things I probably dislike about it. All it takes is, and Devin's not this guy because he wouldn't claim to invent these things, but all it takes is one jackass to get 50,000 subscribers, and he can simply manipulate people or let people believe ridiculousness. I try not to do that. Is Todd on roids? Which Todd? Michael Todd? Toddzilla? So like on the roids thing, most guys, some guys hide, some guys lie, some guys just don't answer the question, and then quite a few guys will tell you. They won't necessarily say yes, right? They'll say, like some people would say, very popular arm wrestlers might say, I don't bring a knife to a gunfight, right? Some would say, well, I also do bodybuilding. One guy in particular, and this is probably my favorite one, I don't let the government tell me what I can put in my body, which I agree with. But so yeah, that's my answer on that question. Hope I'm not missing turkey questions, but you guys kind of got me off on a tangent here. Let's see. Did Michael quit for the first time ever? I guess I can keep this here. Did Michael quit for the first time ever against Devin, in your opinion? His reason for giving up so easy was because he didn't want to take away from Devin's flawless victory. I don't know. I still struggle with the Michael thing. I completely get it when someone takes all your power away and blah, 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 and you can't really apply pressure and you're not going to hurt yourself. I think the issue, not the issue, but the thing with Michael was that Michael always said that, I will break my arm. You will have to break my arm. I'm not just going to lose. Um, and, things change. But I think there needs to be some acknowledgement that things have changed. This is a completely different approach to compared to how Michael's typically handled these things or discussed these things in the past. It's always been, I'm never quitting. And then Michael mentioned something in one of his live streams. He said, what did he say? He said, I shouldn't have done something different. I should have did what works, something like that. And I don't know what that really means. Is it because he didn't go full Kings? Is it because? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what he means by that. So he did something different, and then the question is, so what does that mean? Does that mean that him doing something different was him trying to stand up? Was him doing something different? I don't understand why you would do something different. I don't understand how you could take a match with Devin and think you were going to do something different. I don't know. That's weird. What are my hand measurements? I don't know. I don't know. I don't think I have maybe 8 inches from the wrist to the fingertip. I don't know. Let me. I don't know. I can't remember. I've done this stuff before. Super chats are disabled. You should enable them. My account is not monetized. I don't think I am capable of receiving super chats. And I just don't put out enough content. I probably could have been monetized a year ago. I don't put out a lot. A lot of good lucks. I appreciate it, guys. Pancakes is code word for steroids. Maybe. Did Leo groom me to the dark side? No, and I don't know why you think. I don't know what you picked up in this discussion that makes you think that I've changed over. Generally speaking, I mean, I don't think I've ever had like any crazy issues with steroids, and guess I'll tell you when I did, kind of. I think growing up, I think steroids were obvious. You watched all the baseball players. I mean, that's the only part of baseball I watched was the home runs, the home run highlights on Sports Center. Watching strongman in middle school and high school, like you knew the guys were on steroids. I don't think I aspired to be those guys at that point. I think it was clear that I wasn't those guys in terms of potential. Anyway, I watched people use it in high school for football. And I remember one guy, like I was like way stronger than him. I was like 185 pounds. We were both on the offensive line. And I was 185. He might have been like 220, 230, 240, somewhere in there. He blows up to 280, and his numbers like reach mine, right? So it's kind of interesting the impact they could have in such a short period of time. But it also made me aware that like people will use it like to go from nothing to like average, as opposed to like being great and then using it to go like Super Saiyan. And so when I started arm wrestling, I think that's when I may have had an issue with it because it like directly impacted me. I remember like a guy creaming me, cycling off. I destroy him. He cycles back on, and he crushes me, right? And we're not talking about years. Like a guy was on steroids, beats me. 5 years goes by, he's clean. I've trained and I beat him, and then he trains for 5 years and comes back and beats me. I mean, we're talking about in less than 6 months. So that really left a bad taste in my mouth. Um, but I don't think I ever said like I'm never doing steroids. That was never. Um, yeah, I don't think that's ever come out of my mouth, or nor have I thought that. Um, I think the real thing is just the how people use steroids and that sort of thing. Like, I don't know if I don't want to say it's stupidity, but like that kind of stuff just irks me, right? Misuse, early use, that stuff's all kind of weird, right? Oh, and then like if you're like on steroids and like you're picking on natural guys, and it's like, dude, you just it is a shortcut. I mean, you may still have to put in some work, but it is a shortcut. It's a cheat code. And I've already talked about the other stuff, Yeah, I'm not even gonna go there. But people leading people on, and then like now people will say, "Oh, I do SARMs. I do SARMs." Well, some SARMs are as strong, if not more powerful than steroids, and they were made illegal, I think, in 2018 or 2019. So that's not a good excuse either. And again, nothing wrong with it, but I don't think you can say, "Oh, I'm natural. I take SARMs." Let's see here. Would I ever want to make a regular podcast with Gary talking about Facebook drama? Um, okay, let's see. I need to get some battery. Get this phone plugged in. All right. Hopefully you guys are still there. Okay. Would I want to make a regular podcast with Gary talking about Facebook drama? Um, I don't know, man. I think it's a good platform. Gary's got a lot of subs. I guess if I just really wanted to crank out a bunch of YouTube time, you know what I mean? It's a lot of work. There's not a whole lot of money in it too, and regular meaning weekly. I don't know. I don't think there's enough content for that to be like valuable. And at the same time, if you're just talking about like or really focusing on drama, it's just kind of low wave kind of stuff. It just kind of probably pollutes your brain a little bit. So probably not. Gary can also be a bit much to manage. James Cochran, can you stake on my match? Can you place bets? Um, Devin opened it up to everybody, but some people or you had to express your interest, right? So I said I'm okay with the staking component. Um, I think Ingen was not okay with the staking stuff, and I hope I'm free to say this because of his religion, and that's nothing wrong with that. And my opponent is Turkish, right? So he may or may not be Muslim, and he may or may not have an issue with the staking. I haven't heard anything, and staking's such a low priority on my list that I haven't asked about it, right? T12J7 said that Michael's comment about he should have done what worked was in regards to his training. I think I know what you're talking about. I think he talked about his riser and not focusing on his riser as much as he used to. But I want to say that those were like spaced very far apart in that video. That when he said what I paraphrased, that he should have done something, he shouldn't have done something different. I didn't get the impression that any of that had to do with training. It seemed like he was talking about on the table. But the thing is, I don't know. And I'm not going to go back and rewatch it at this point. I think this is from Justin B. Is that Justin Bishop? Probably not. I think Todd didn't want to do a full Kings move and alienate his fans. He cares more about his channel now. Yeah, and you know the thing, and that's the double-edged sword, right? We all want money, but it's not free. It changes things. Um, you know, I think someone told me that apparently Michael said at some point that he would lose if he was paid enough, which I don't know, maybe we all would, but and I just don't, I can't believe he would say it. And you could also look at it as like, hey, that guy's honest. You know, he would lay down a match for some money. I don't know, kind of weird. Do I still talk with Gabi? Every once in a while, private messages. I think we're both just busy. Yeah, I think Gabi started pretty good job maybe a year and a half, maybe a couple years ago now. Quickly moved into supervision, bought a house and all that stuff. So I think he's been busy with that stuff. And between my work and my real estate stuff and my destroyed properties after the hurricane, I've been busy as well. Um, Sap the B. Oh, you're getting your money's worth here, Sap. Do you train side pressure the way Todd does or the way Zoloev does with a lot of internal rotation? Probably closer to the way Zoloev does it. I also do some straight side pressure stuff, but I think that Zoloev internal rotation move is probably the best thing you can do for him wrestling. Do I believe Ryan when he says he only took one cycle? The guy literally changed his body chemistry. No. And at the same time, I think I've heard him say he's only done one cycle. And I've seen a question he answered in the comments recently where he didn't say that. He left it open. You know, he said I started around Zloty 2019, something like that. Do I still follow Christian Thibodeau's programs? No. Well, I probably haven't followed his programs since college, or at least 7 years maybe. But everything I do is based on some of that Christian Thibodeau stuff. It's just like my root foundational programming. I don't have to write this stuff down. It's just how I behave at this point. And it's not just that Christian knows his stuff or that I've had games with it in the past. Like, this is what I like, right? You won't see me doing a lot of long sets. You won't see me doing long workouts. I like short, quick, explosive, low reps, and as high a frequency as I can schedule. T12J7. I don't know anything about steroids and brain health. But you got to look at it. I mean, you don't have just a bunch of meatheads using steroids. I mean, I guess you got some rich meatheads using steroids like Arnold Schwarzenegger and Sylvester Stallone. These people can afford the best doctors in the world, and I don't know if I see them doing something that deteriorates their brain or something along those lines. Fist of Tulkas, Rob is natural. Yeah, there was a time I think that I actually did like kind of follow Ryan's channel. I think he was doing some good stuff, even with beating Ryan. Now it's just, I don't know. I can't watch, and I mean he's not making content for me anyway, right? I don't think Ryan's out there saying, I want to make content for people like Herman. That's a hard task. Okay, Sap the Bee. Herman, you always mention that biceps are a weakness for you. Is it due to bad bicep insertions? For me, I can fit three fingers between my biceps and forearm, which is bad. Rob has literally a full bicep. I don't know if your understanding or my understanding about insertions is correct, or if there is a like clear black and white to this. But when you can fit a bunch of fingers in between your bicep and your forearm, this I think this possibly means that your tendon is attached higher on the bone, meaning that you actually have more leverage, or that a weight in your hand has less leverage on your bicep, right? And I've seen some like short bicep guys that are very strong, although they don't have a lot of bicep size. So I think that short bicep head can be a gift in terms of strength. At the same time, when you compare it to someone like Rob, who has a very long bicep head, I think what you're seeing there, you're not seeing necessarily the best tendon attachment points for strength. You're seeing a ton of muscle, right? And even then, like that doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be super strong either. But Rob probably also has, fast twitch muscles, and he's probably got a good nervous system that allows his bicep to be that strong. So I don't think you have a bad situation, but maybe your tendon insertion thing is actually a good thing, but maybe your nervous system isn't there, or your muscle fibers aren't there, or you're just not trained enough. But my bicep weakness, one, is due to interest. Like I have no interest in training biceps. Part of that may be because it's a weakness, and that's something we all have to get over. And then part of it is I think I may have misrepresented some of that also. I have a C5, C6 musculocutaneous nerve injury that I was made aware of maybe in 2017, 2018, that directly impacts biceps and hand and finger strength. I noticed it first in my biceps, and it sucks. And when I got all the data and I looked back, I think it started probably in 2014. So that's where the weak bicep thing comes from. There are times where I'm training really hard, and I think whether it's due to posture, inflammation, poor diet causing inflammation, etc., I'll get a nerve issue, and sometimes my left arm is half as strong as my right arm. And for the longest, I thought it was just a left arm situation. But after multiple rounds with the chiropractor, once in 2017, once in 2018, maybe 2019, I realized that it also could impact my right arm, sometimes to the tune of 10 to 15%, actually more than that. And so in 2019, I noticed that I was getting some weakness. This was before IFA Worlds, maybe a month before. I go to a chiropractor, and again, I always thought it was biceps, right? And I'm okay with some bicep weakness because I can protect my bicep. My hand has to be strong. So I go to the chiropractor. We use the calipers. My left hand registers 120 pounds. My right hand registers 150 pounds. After 3 sessions, my left hand goes from 120 to 170 pounds. My right hand goes from 150 pounds to 180 pounds, right? So this is a huge strength impact. And so, of course, I go to all kinds of tournaments, small tournaments, big tournaments, and I win some and I lose some. But the truth is that most of the time, apparently, I haven't been anywhere close to 100%, unless I have some sort of chiropractic care, a couple weeks, um, around a couple weeks near the tournament. So that's where we are. Um, After IFA Worlds, I worked on some mobility stuff. My neck is like perfectly straight. That's what I knew at the time. But I did some mobility stuff, and I bought my own calipers, hand dynamometers, so that I could measure my hands. And a caliper is not something you train with, so there's difficulty grabbing it because you're not used to squeezing it. So I had some pretty significant gains. Some of the gains are probably due to getting better at grabbing it, right? But my left hand went from, so it was 120, then it went to 170, and then when I did some of my other work, changed my diet, worked on my neck a bit, so 120, 170, then it went to like 200 to 210. That was kind of my normal range for left. Right hand was initially 150, it went to 180, and then right hand I could get 220 to 230. And this makes sense because, there's a Korean video out where they tested Angarbayev and Rustam and Levon and all those guys' grip strength. And I think Rustam and Angarbayev was in that, or Angarbayev was around that 220, 230 mark. I don't remember what Rustam was. And I pulled Angarbayev, and I'm not saying I'm as strong as Angarbayev or anything, but I'm not that much weaker than him, at least from a general hand strength standpoint. So that's what that was some significant progress there. So I go a year and a half, almost no neck issues, no pain, no major weaknesses. At the same time, not training that hard due to injuries. I ramped up training for this tournament. I had some neck pain, sleeping the wrong way. I tried to let it heal on its own. After a month, it got worse. So I told my wife, look, I need to go see a chiropractor. I'm not noticing any weakness in my hands or anything, but something's going on with my neck. So I did 3 sessions last week before this tournament, just to make sure I didn't show up injured or way worse than where I was. And I think before and after the first couple sessions, I was like 210 on the right and 190 on the left, which is not great. But if my norm was like 200 to 220, 190 to 210, it's really not that bad considering I'm in the middle of a training cycle and I haven't rested and peaked yet. You're going to be tired. And then right before I left, I checked it and I was at 240 on the right and 240 on the left. So I might be really strong, but no promises. That could have been some sort of trick grip thing. I didn't hit it that hard. If I hit it hard, I can max the whole thing out over 300 pounds. So that didn't happen. So I may be really strong. The problem is that you sit on the plane all this time, there's no guarantee that I actually show up with decent neck and nerve health. So hopefully everything's okay. I don't have any updates on Dennis Saplenkov. Okay, Vengeance. Yeah, good luck with those air ducts. Vengeance, you changed your body chemistry with Popeyes. Yeah, I've been down that road. Let's see here. So that was a long rant. I'm probably missing a lot of comments. So T12J7 says, I remember Michael said that I would lose if I would be paid regarding golf and boxing, meaning that if there would be enough money in arm wrestling, Michael would be okay just traveling to lose. That's from T12J7. I don't know how you're pulling up these Michael Todd quotes like this. You might be the biggest fan. Neil Pickup says, glad that I got there okay. Best of luck. I hope you're back to your best or at least close to it. You've looked solid and well rounded in your recent matches. Thanks, Neil. We'll see. Let's see here. Okay, what is Biggs Tom Craft? What do you think you need to improve to beat Wayne Withers? Todd talked about training top roll defense. What exercises would help? Um, I've beaten Wayne. I don't know if you guys know that. I won the Mississippi event in November over Wayne, and Wayne's tough. He's strong, but you guys don't know this, but Wayne is constantly doing this in the setup, right? And it's very hard to get a fair, clean start. And I'm not sitting here saying Wayne's a cheater, right? He's the worst guy in the world. He's a good guy, but um, I'm terrible, right? I literally go up there, I get a fair grip, 90+% of the time, and I kind of hope people give me the same courtesy so that we can get the match started and move on. Um, but most people, and you're taught this, like you need to be taking your grip, right? Devin will tell you the same thing. Devin cheats like hell, right? So is Wayne the problem or am I the problem because I'm not falling in line with the conventions? But when 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 there is strict reffing and there is no movement in the setup, I'm beating Wayne. And like specific exercises for top roll defense, I don't know, like wrist curls, any sort of like hand exercises, right? I can make things really complicated, but if you get some sort of 2-inch handle and you do this with 300 pounds, not that I can do that, you're probably going to do pretty good at defending a top roll. So get stronger. T12J7, did you know that you can do those chiropractic adjustments to yourself? Oh, man. I did not know that. I don't want to know that. Yeah, that's scary. Okay, there's this guy, Bada. Why do you think why do you think Roostem is the goat? I don't think Roostem is the goat. I don't. Is that one of those trick questions? Like, please tell me why you're gay. Like you're forcing the guy into a question, into an answer. Um, yeah, T12J7. That's a good idea. You can get those neck harnesses where you can kind of hang yourself. I might get one of those. Can I find a chiropractor in Turkey? Maybe, but probably kind of risky. I think, yeah, I don't want to try anyone new. Um, how would 100% healthy Herman do at Salati? I don't know. So I don't think so. 2019, right? I did IFA Worlds before Zloty, and again, listening to the or discussing the chiropractic, hand strength numbers and that sort of thing. I probably wasn't 100%. Definitely not like from a training commitment standpoint. 2018 was the same. 2017, I don't know. I looked like a pile of shit, but maybe I was still in good arm wrestling shape. And in 2017, I got third right, fifth left, and Angarbayev won the class. I was the only one that kind of slowed up Angarbayev. And against the second place guy, I fouled out, but he never made any like offensive move against me. So, I mean, I think I was like that day, I think I was right there. And I was just talking to Rob Vigiant before this, and Rob, I'm going to segue a little bit. Rob made some comments about maybe Matt Mask not getting fair officiating in Turkey because they don't want an American to come over here and beat their golden boy and that sort of thing. So 2017, I go to Zloty, I go to the table. Again, I'm pretty fair. I'm pretty neutral. I kind of start straight. I'm not carving, and this is day one. Then I beat, and everything's cool, right? I get my setup. I win the match. Then I beat Vasily Daltashvili, who I think is a former WAF world champion. I know he has wins on John Brzenk. And then as soon as that happened, all of a sudden there was a problem with my setup. It was wrist, 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 shoulder, shoulder, shoulder. So now I'm sitting here like all weird because they're fucking with me, the referees, and so that kind of sucked. So I kind of understand what Rob's talking about, and I don't know. I don't have all the data to know that all the refs decided to cheat me, or that it wasn't just that it was a different set of refs at a different table and they just sucked. Okay, and then so I get third place. I get invited to do the overall, and I get Krasimir, right? And Krasimir had pulled 231 or something. He pulled the class up, maybe supers, maybe 231, but I get Krasimir. And he sets up like to top roll. And I get it. You top roll, you save your elbow, it's an easy win for you, blah, blah, blah. They said ready, go, and I flash pinned Krasi. And you could hear like the air being sucked out of the room, or the gasp. The whole crowd went, and then all you hear is the dead silence, and the refs say false start, right? I don't think it was a false start. I didn't get a single false start that day, I believe, right? And I think Krasi chose the wrong technique, right? And he paid for it. But you know how it is. On home court, if you're gonna win, you gotta really win. So we had to restart the match, and of course that time he set up like super inside, shoulder in, leg up on the table, and he drove in with his hook and he beat me easy. But I totally get what Rob says. So I don't know. With that being said, arguably Zloty isn't as difficult as it was when I went in 2017 and 2018 because the WAF IFA split and some of those WAF guys cannot go to Zloty anymore. So I don't know. I don't know this guy's name, but it's written in Russian, but he's always in arm wrestling discussion on Facebook. But he said Michael Tai created so many delusional noobs on his channel as nobody before. I disagree. I think Devin's created more. I am 32 years old. Sap the B, what's better, dumbbell wrist curls or wrist curls from a cable machine? Probably a cable machine. Oh, Boda said that apparently on Leo's podcast, I said that Rustem is the GOAT. Maybe I misspoke. I mean, I think he's in the GOAT discussion. He could be the GOAT. He's one of the GOATs. Pound for pound, greatest of all time, it's probably John Brzenk. And then it's like a discussion between like Engen, Zolowev, Rustem. So maybe I misspoke, talking too fast or something, but I don't think he's the greatest of all time. And yeah, like Alex said, Rustem is the most successful arm wrestler, WAF arm wrestler. I think he's got 22 gold medals. Arturo Hermes is not Turkish. Yeah, no, he's not Turkish, but he's part of this side of the world, right? And I think the real distinction is that Hermes is not American and Turkish people are not American. Maybe they don't. Maybe they don't favor Matt. I'm not saying that's what's going to happen. I'm saying that's what Rob said, right? And that would be the distinction, East versus West, right? Oh, Alex 1750. Rustem maybe has 19 Europeans and 18 worlds without his Lotties included. That is ridiculous. Arturo Sanchez, Sap the B. Oh, Arturo Sanchez says that Americans think everything outside of North America is one big country. Um, that is not true. Maybe some Americans, um, but I don't think it's a stretch to say that like the Eastern world would try to gang up on an American. I don't think that's a stretch at all. Like just in a general sense. And I mean that's kind of feel I got when I went to Poland. Like you don't want that guy on the podium. Anyone else on the podium, but that guy. Because there is that like idea that we're not on the level. And I mean I've even kind of said the same thing in the past. But if I say that I don't think America's on the level and an American gets on the podium, great, that's cool. If they don't think Americans on that level and then an American gets on the podium, that really sucks. Uh, if Zoloev beats Todd, do you think he is the best 95 kilogram puller on the planet? He might be. You still have people like Kochak. You still have Prudnik if he makes 209. There's stuff like that out there, but I think Zoloev would have a good claim. I think Herman versus Angerbayev would be a good match, great matchup one day. Probably not. So um, I think I'm just starting to like, I don't want to say give up, but maybe come to the understanding that there's a difference between like people that do this full time and then people that, like they have to do it like part time. Um, I mean, these guys are super athletes already, and then the time they put into it on top of the gear they use. Um, And so back to that 2017 Zloty, right? So again, I was the only one that like slowed Angerbayev down in the 95 kilogram class. And I remember some Georgians, they were like, man, you're strong, which is like a great compliment coming from anybody from Georgia. And I said, not really. I said, that guy's strong. And I pointed to Angerbayev. And they said, no. They said, yeah, but you slowed him down. Like you were the only one. And so, okay, I'm feeling good about myself. Then we go to the overalls, and Angerbayev starts hooking everybody. So basically, he rolled everybody in the 95 kilogram class, and then like pulled out a completely different weapon and just started wrecking like everybody. He beat Vitaly Laletin, and I think he beat Dmitry Silayev. Let's see here. Arturo Sanchez. Italy is not Eastern. What do you mean? Italy is not Eastern Europe? We're talking about like the Eastern world. Like I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm not a geography major. North America, South America, all that stuff's the West. Are we talking hemispheres? Let's see. Let's see here. I just don't understand. Like so the Eastern Hemisphere covers most of Europe, much of Europe. I don't know, man. Italy might be in the Eastern Hemisphere, but we'll save that for another day. Um, Italy's east of us. Close enough? Uh, no, yeah, Arturo, we're not talking about Eastern Europe. We're talking about the Eastern world. No, I did not know that Igor banned Zoloev from Zloty. I'm pretty sure the Zoloft thing is that he's a WAF athlete. He wants to stay in the WAF, so WAF won't allow him to pull Ancelotti. It could be both. I struggle with the Ryan thing. I truly don't know if he's truly nuts or, is he just a YouTube guy? This Arturo guy, you really not you're not you have poor understanding. All right, so I think we've gone through all the chats, all the questions here. So yeah, landed in Turkey, went through all the COVID stuff. Um, haven't been eating much. I did go to the Salt Bay restaurant. That was pretty cool. I told you guys about the cologne, so I need to figure out who to give that away to. And did some educational stuff here. Anything else? Otherwise, I think I'm going to sign off. That's it. Let's see. Herman, when you train 3 times per day, what kind of weights did you do? 70% of 1 rep max? What kind of stuff? Probably closer to 90%. I don't think 70% does anything. No formal volume days. If anything, I had some longer warm ups where I would get light bands and I'd do them for time sets 1 minute, 2 minute, 3 minutes. That's so low a weight. I think it would be more recovery than actual like mid level intensity volume. And then we had arm wrestling practices that I typically pulled for nearly 3 hours straight once a week. So that's kind of where my volume came in. Do I think Hermes got screwed at Wall? I don't know. I'd have to go back and rewatch it. I just remember it being a shit show. Um, and again, like someone said, maybe it was just WAL shit refereeing. I don't know that. Yeah, they picked. I don't know that they picked on Hermes. I know that WAL has shit rules and shit refereeing, and sometimes maybe it helps you and sometimes it doesn't. So, yeah. Do I think Larry could be a great in arm wrestling, or people are just hyping him up so he throws more events? I don't know. I don't know if I. Well, I don't think I like telling people what they can or can't become. Um, but I mean, pick anybody you want that's been arm wrestling for a year or two, and the odds are not in their favor that they're going to be a great arm wrestler. I think regardless of potential, right? If you'd have said Khaled, that the Khaled guy, oh man, what are his odds of becoming a great arm wrestler? Very fucking low because most people don't stick with it, regardless of potential. So, Larry's strong and all this other stuff, but I would say his odds are very low of becoming a great arm wrestler. Are they higher than the average guy? Yes, but you're talking about 1 peanut versus 3 peanuts. You're not talking about a whole lot here. I also think, I mean, like, yeah, people are probably partially hyping him to keep him in the sport. I'm sure people were blowing Steve Kaplan, when the WAL came around. Everyone wants to get a few bucks, right? Do you think overtraining is a thing in arm wrestling? Yeah, I don't know. I mean, adrenal fatigue exists. Central nervous system like fatigue or burnout exists. I think if you're natural, you can train to a point where your like hormones crater. Like I've done that. I've blasted like hard 3 weeks straight, and then fucking hormones crash, and I'm fucking depressed, and I'm sitting in the dark for a week. Like there are limits. I think most people though like are nowhere close to hitting any kind of fucking limit. It's like the guy that like doesn't train hard, hasn't done anything, but he's always deloading. I need a deload week. I need a rest week, but you haven't done anything. And unfortunately, most of the people in this chat probably don't push it hard, and that's just the truth. Sap the B. If I'm top rolling, it's probably mostly hand and wrist and then side pressure, but it just depends. I mean, am I no loading? Am I loading? What's my opponent trying to do? There are times where I put a lot of hammer posting type strength, but it's complicated. Tom Nelson is probably still the top dog in California. There's like a certain, I think I've said this before, there's a certain level of arm wrestler that like once you get to that point, like it takes like some pretty serious people to beat you. In like California, are there any other people that could beat Tom? Like I don't know. Like I guess Derek's gotten stronger, but yeah, I don't know if he's that strong. Okay, I think that's it. Alex1750 said I should make a live for tomorrow. Sab the B says, good luck for your match. Really hope you win. Get on the after table with Zoloev and Todd. I'll probably be destroyed at that point. Is the red hair guy in your videos the arm wrestling coach? No. That's Brad. That's my learning disabled student. Yeah, and Sap the B has quit. No more questions from Sap the B today. So I think that's probably a good time to sign off. I haven't read Boris Shako. I think I've read some articles on the highlights of his training. I love what I do. All right, I'll catch you guys later. Thanks.